Good evening, all you beautiful people. I was making a story and it ended up being really long. So I wanted to come on here and talk about the little death that not enough people talk about, that we all need, and how many different ways we can have this when we are, hello if you're just joining me, when we are aligned to our breath, to presence, and to what is arriving in the now, what is coming up for us. And if you're just joining, I'm just talking about the little death we all need. So hi. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about, I'm teaching a masterclass on Monday, so I wanted to talk about my why. Why am I teaching a masterclass on the pleasure principle? It is, I'll tell you a little bit about the class and then I'll tell you why. So the masterclass is all of the activations that I've just learned to embody through years of being disconnected from my body and coming into the knowing of the only way to be aligned with the now is by being aligned with our breath and surrendering to the little death that needs to continually come through us in whatever that looks like. So hi if you're just joining. And so I'm teaching a masterclass. It is on Valentine's Day. It's Galentine's Day. Men or women are welcome to join. Whatever gender you align with, you're welcome to join. But we're going to be looking at your natal chart, your Mars and your Venus. They are going to be aligned cosmically on Valentine's Day. They are conjunct each other. And so we're going to be looking at where that conjunction is happening in your chart, but also where your Mars and your Venus are placed in your chart, to understand your love languages, what you desire and what you go after, what you attract to you and what you give to others, what you receive and what you give. All of these things are contained by looking at your Venus and Mars in your chart. So we're going to be going through your love languages, maybe some things that need to be looked at around pleasure and going after what you want, depending on where they're in, and I'm not going to go too far into that here. And then we're going to be going into the activation of our pleasure by understanding more about it, more about being with what's coming through in our presence, right? So, hi, Sima. So this is what we're doing on Monday. The workshop is 111. If you can't make the live, you can still register and get the playback, and we'll still be looking at charts of whoever registers. So that registration will be up until Sunday night. So it's 111 and it's Monday. We're going to be diving into this, okay? And I want to talk about the little death. So part of this has to do with sensual healing, and really understanding that sensuality is simply being in the body and being aware of your senses, right? The sense of touch, the sense of smell, the sense of taste, like being present with what is. But if we've had experiences in our life that disconnect us from being with our body, we've had situations where we've had to disassociate or disengage with the present moment to self-protect. Those things store up in the body, right? And this is what we call trauma. And trauma is anything that is frozen in your body. And we all, to some degree, have some form of trauma that we carry. And this is why the little death is so important. And there's so many different ways to get that little death on our daily life. I just went to yoga and I had a little death. I had an amazing cleansing orgasm, cervical orgasm the other day, and I had a massive clearing where I was crying and clearing a little death, right? So I think we tend to hyper focus on sex in our culture without understanding sensuality and presence and breath. And so this is why so much of the teachings that I want to share have to do with breath and somatics and embodiment. And when we focus on those things, the orgasms, the bliss, all of those things just naturally come. Those things just naturally come. But when we focus on sex, we often have a very masculine way of viewing it, whether you're feminine or masculine or whatever your orientation is, where it's like getting off, right? And there is nothing wrong with having orgasms, but when we're hyper-focused on that, we are missing out on the healing properties of our prana, our chi, our sexual energy. And by being in alignment with our chi, we know when we need a little death. It's just known. It's just known when we need to surrender, when we've been holding around something, self-protecting around something, grasping onto something, attached to something, thinking that we want something so badly when we don't even know that there's so many things underneath that desire. We're going to go into that. That's Activate Shakti, which is tomorrow. We're talking about neutrality. But when we're so focused on this over masculinization, hello, if you're just joining, this over masculinization, and we translate that into our sex lives, we're missing out on the little death. We're missing out on so many things because, let's just be real, when we're in overdrive to get off, the getting off, the little death is not going to be the little death we need. It's going to be a little tiny molehill of what we need. And when we focus on the sensual embodiment, and we focus on our breath, and we focus on the surrender and the opening, whatever that looks like. And I was just saying, to me tonight, that looked like yoga. To me tonight, that looked like nothing that would be considered sexually or sensually necessarily in our culture, but it allowed me to have the little death that was needed today. So where in your life are you open to having a little death? Where are you being asked to let something die, to let something go, to really, instead of being up here intellectually knowing what you need to let go of, where are you inviting in the sensory, the somatic experience of having the little death? And this is so important because we're in such a time period right now where we're getting all this energy coming in. And if we're not making space for the little death, we're not making space for anything new to come in. There's only so many things that can come in that are new when we're gripping on and holding on to old ways. And so if we want to make space for the new to come in, we have to make space for the little death, the little funeral, the little literally letting things go into the ground and make something new. So if this is perking your interest, I definitely would invite you to join us on Monday for that masterclass. And you can always reach out to me and ask me about working one-on-one or any of my programs that are focused around this in particular that might be helpful to you. When you register for the masterclass, I'm going to be talking about in the masterclass different yoni wands, different yoni eggs that I personally use and I carry as products for my clients that I'll be giving a discount for at the masterclass. But if you work with me one-on-one, like the 1 month coaching that I do, I send out either whatever you pick, either a set of yoni eggs or a crystal yoni wand. That is part of the package. That is part of my coaching, is to talk you through these things that have made a huge impact in my life, and I want to share them with more people. So that is just something else to consider if you've thought about working with me one-on-one, just that we dive into the topics that are most important. And a huge one for me in this work is the little death. Because we can only have a birth after we have a death. We can only have the in-breath after we have the exhale, right? So I'm so excited to see who joins this masterclass. It's Monday, it's on Valentine's Day, and we'll be looking at charts because there's that beautiful conjunction of Venus and Mars on Monday, and we're going to be talking about that and your own natal placement of Venus and Mars. Okay, so I'm so excited. You can click the link in my profile to learn more. Have a beautiful, beautiful evening. Take good care of yourselves, and just ask yourself where you're being asked to have a little death.